Hello Year 5, it's Miss Heakin and this is lesson 2 of your English lessons. You will need a pen or a pencil and your home learning book or some paper to write on. I'm going to give you a few seconds to get yourself ready and we will begin. Okay, ready? Let's get started. So your writing task this week is to write a character description, and your description will be based on Coraline. And each day you'll build up ideas ready to do an extended piece of writing at the end of the week. So looking at what you've learned in Destination Reader, this should feed into your English work. Let's have a look at the text. Coraline loves to explore the gigantic garden. She runs as fast as a cheetah outside every day to discover new things. Coraline could be quite rebellious. She tried to listen to her parents, but they often saw her as bold as brass. Coraline could get bored very easily when she had to stay in her huge old house. However, there were other residents she could talk to. Miss Bink and Miss Forcible were as old as the hills, but they would often talk to Coraline. Her parents both worked from home on their computers. They were always as busy as bees. Coraline can often feel quite lonely and isolated in the house. At night she would look out at the stars that sparkle like a diamond and think, what might she discover tomorrow? So have a look at what I've highlighted and read and think, what feature is that Miss Heakin's used? Pause the video now and have a think. So today we are going to use similes in our writing. A simile describes something by comparing it to something else, using like or as. My turn. A simile describes something by comparing it to something else. Your turn. My turn, using like or as. Your turn. So what does a simile do? And what does it have to use? Like or as. Excellent. It must have like or as in it, or it is not a simile. So a simile is a useful way to describe something without using a long list of adjectives. It can create a vivid image in the reader's mind, helping to engage and absorb them. Their food was tough as old boots. This simile suggests that the food was leathery, dry and impossible to chew. So it'd be like chewing on a pair of old boots. It'd be really tough. Writers use similes and metaphors to create a clear picture for their readers. For example, the light was as bright as the sun gives us more description than the light was bright. And as you can see there, as has been used each time. So examples of similes that you might have heard: as brave as a lion, as busy as a bee, as cold as ice, as free as a bird, as good as gold, as sweet as pie. Or you could say with like, she sways like a flower, she falls like a tear. His temper was as explosive as a volcano. That's a good one. So a sentence without a simile: the rose thorns were sharp. With a simile, the rose thorns were as sharp as a dagger. So it's just explaining to you and describing to you how sharp those rose thorns were. So we can imagine, oh, they're as sharp as a dagger. They're really sharp. Coraline darted through the garden as quick as lightning. The simile is as quick as lightning. You can see as is used and it's describing how quick she is with lightning. So she's like lightning, she's super speedy. He shouted like a horn. The simile is like a horn because the simile uses like or as to describe something, and we have like a horn, so that's he shouted very loudly because it's like a horn. So, which of these sentences uses a simile? So write in your books 1, 2 or 3 and tick and cross. The door was as hard as nails. Coraline was angry like a bull. The house was ancient and full of strange rooms. Pause the video now to write your answer. Okay, let's see how we did. So, the door was as hard as nails. We have as. Coraline was angry like a bull. We have the bull there. She was angry like a bull, so she was really mad. The house was ancient and full of strange rooms was across. So we found Two similes, as hard as nails, angry like a bull. Have I identified the simile? And think to yourself, how do you know? So writing 1, 2 and 3 and ticking or crossing. Is there a simile in the sentence, and have I underlined it in green? Mrs. Spink was as mad as a hatter. Coraline ran into the garden as fast as a cheetah. Coraline's father was tall like a giraffe. Pause the video now. Okay. So, Mrs. Spink is underlined. That is not a simile. As fast as a cheetah. Yeah, we've used as and compared fast and cheetah. Tall like a giraffe. Tall like a giraffe. We've got the like in there. Excellent. We've identified the similes. So, just a reminder, a simile describes something by comparing it to something else using like or as. What does it do? Describe something by comparing. And what does it need to have in it? Super, like or as. So today you're going to be using similes in your writing, and your description will be based on Coraline. So yesterday you used expanded noun phrases. Now you're going to write your character description of Coraline, but put some similes into your writing. So which passage creates more description? Coraline wandered about the huge dusty house. She looked outside. The rain was thundering like a train. The curious door her mother had shown her earlier was opposite her. She pulled on the door. The door was as heavy as lead. Or, Coraline wandered about the huge dusty house. She looked outside. The rain was thundering. The curious door her mother had shown her earlier was opposite her. She pulled on the door. The door was heavy. Pause the video and have a think. Which passage creates more description? Okay, you should have chosen number 1 because we have some similes in there. The rain was thundering like a train. So that's how loud the rain was. It was thundering like a train. And the door was as heavy as lead. So that's how heavy it was. Lead is very heavy. So it's really heavy to open. Have a look at this one. Which passage creates more description? And think to yourself, how do you know? Coraline walks out of the house and sees Miss Spink in the yard. The fog is thick and it's hard to see where she is going. She feels like she is walking in circles. Or, Coraline walks out of the house as quick as lightning and sees Miss Spink in the yard. The fog was thick like a tree trunk and it's hard to see where she is going. She feels like she is walking in circles. Pause the video now. Okay, you should have chosen number 2 because we have the similes there. Not just that she walks out the house, boring, she walks out the house as quick as lightning. And the fog, not just it's thick, the fog was thick like a tree trunk. So that's how thick it was. It was really hard to see through it. So it's just adding more description and detail. So help me improve my writing. Have I included similes here, or do I need to add some? Can you help me edit my work? The crazy old man tells Coraline his mice have a message for her. Coraline thinks the old man is mad, but listens. Do not go through that door, he says. Coraline visits Miss Spink and Miss Forcible as she is terribly bored. They offer her tea. So pause the video now and have a look and think, how would you edit that piece of writing? Okay, let's see what I did. So the crazy old man tells Coraline his mice have a message for her. Coraline thinks the old man is mad as a hatter. So we've added a simile in there, but listens. Do not go through that door, he says. Coraline visits Miss Spink and Miss Forcible as she is terribly bored. They offer her tea. The tea is as hot as a volcano. So it's adding more detail about how hot the tea is. It's hot as a volcano, so it's really burnt her mouth. So today your writing task is a character description of Coraline. Think of everything we have learnt the past 2 days in Destination Reader about Coraline. What does she like or dislike? What is happening in the story? Are we learning more about her parents or the other residents like Miss Spink, Miss Forcible, the crazy old man? Include the setting and add similes. Get those similes in using like or as in your writing. So if we have a look at the text again. Coraline loves to explore the gigantic garden. She runs as fast as a cheetah outside every day to discover new things. Coraline could be quite rebellious. She tried to listen to her parents, but they often saw her as bold as brass. Coraline could get bored very easily when she had to stay in her huge old house. However, there were other residents she could talk to. Miss Spink and Miss Forcible were as old as the hills, but they would often talk to Coraline. Her parents both worked from home on their computers. They were always as busy as bees. Coraline can often feel quite lonely and isolated in the house. At night she would look out at the stars that sparkle like a diamond and think, what might she discover tomorrow? So as you can see, I've written my description about Coraline, but I've weaved in those similes: as fast as a cheetah, bold as brass, as old as the hills, as busy as bees, and like a diamond. So that's just showing you how you can add in similes. You can talk about Coraline, you can describe the other characters, add about the setting, the garden, what time of day or night, what time of day does she like being outside or inside. That's why we've got things, stars like a diamond. You could talk about the sun. Think of what you've learned in Destination Reader to help you. And just here I've left up some examples of similes for you to use that you might want to include in your writing about Coraline or the other characters. Remember, you need to be comparing it to something else and using as or like, or it is not a simile. Good luck, Year 5.